Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the What's New in QQCatalyst version 4.7 webinar, a joint presentation by NetView, the network of Vertafore users, and QQCatalyst. My name is Brittany Brockman, and I'm NetView's Education Coordinator. I'm joined today by Dickinson Marin, Product Manager at Vertafore. I do want to start off with discussing some housekeeping. You are all muted, but we would love to hear your questions and concerns. So please feel free to type out your questions into the question box located on the GoToWebinar panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll get to them as time permits after the presentation. Also, just a reminder that this session is being recorded, and a copy of the recording, along with the Q&A, will be sent to all registered attendees once the recording has been edited and placed into NetView's learning management system, NetView University. The notice will include instructions for you to get access to this valuable resource offered by your users group. I will now turn it over to your presenter. Dickinson, take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Well, in some parts of the country, good morning. My name is Dickinson Marin, the QQCatalyst Product Manager. Really excited to talk to you guys today about what's new in QQCatalyst version 4.7. I'm really grateful for the agents that helped us get this together. Again, QQCatalyst is getting better and better, and it's because of your feedback. So we're grateful that you guys are working with us to deliver the features that you need to help to grow your business. Now, before we get into today's demo, I did want to talk to you guys more about NetView. For those of you who aren't on the NetView forum, I highly recommend that you get going on NetView. It is a network of Vertafore users. Lots of questions being asked by users that are answered by other users. And great conversations going on as well concerning, features that they want to see implemented within the system, as well as workflow questions, the way things are implemented in terms of whether or not you want to have 10 steps to get a process completed, whether you want to put it down to 2 steps. Lots of information for existing users as well as people that are coming on brand new. So again, I highly recommend that you guys get on the NetView forum, not just in the QQCatalyst community, but just insurance as a whole. There's some great insurance questions that are being asked and information being shared as things change in the industry. All right, so we're going to be talking about the sales room today. The sales room is a brand new feature in QQCatalyst available to everyone who is currently on the Plan 4 QMAX professional plan or anyone that has the agency intelligence module. This is included in your agency intelligence module feature. So if you have AI, right now you can go to this new tab or this new link in the sales room, and all of the information in your agency management system is automatically populated in it. The sales room is a sales pipeline manager. We did build that within QQCatalyst, so you no longer have to use a third-party tool to manage your sales. One central location where you can manage all of your sales performance, okay? So we're going to walk through how you guys are going to be using the sales room, and I'm going to show you where you can find it, how you can now set goals for your staff, and how you're going to be monitoring those things. So you can track your sales performance, and your goals for your employees now can sum up into an agency goal, and you can track your performance over time. You're also going to be able to identify trends in premium, commission, and deals sold. So you can see whether or not you're closing deals more towards the beginning of the month or the end of the month, or if while you're closing deals in the middle of the month, the majority of your premiums being generated towards the beginning or the end. I'll walk you guys through the trends, and you're going to be able to manage your opportunities through the sales cycle. We did give you a pipeline that you can work through. I'm going to talk to you guys about how this works hand in hand with QQCatalyst, and how most of the information right now, if you go to the sales room right now, you'll be seeing the majority of your information automatically populated, and you can now compare your sales team's performance. You'll be able to sort based on premium generated, commission generated, quotes, what's been sold, the close ratio, and what their average deal size is. All right, so let's go ahead and walk our way through that demo. Let's go over into QQCatalyst. Now again, for those of you who have the Agency Intelligence module on, you already have that feature subscribed, you're on Plan 4, QMAX, or QQCatalyst Professional Plan, you are automatically enjoying this feature already. It is going to be found right here in the global navigation bar. It is the sales room link. Okay. You're going to click on the sales room, And what we've done is built a pipeline manager using the information that's already in QQCatalyst. So hopefully, when we release the quotes tab, you have been utilizing the quotes tab. If you have, all of this information will be populated for you already. Once you come into the room, you're going to see that owner is now listed on a policy. So on all policies, there's going to be now a new owner field. And we had to do that because while multiple producers can be on a policy, only one person can own a deal. So you now have an owner field on the policy next to the CSR field, and you have all your active employees listed here. And by default, we're showing you all. And you have the close date. So this is going to be the effective date of the policy. When the policy is effective, or when it's anticipated to be effective, you can look at your deals. Right? So let's talk through metrics first. The first section here is the metrics. What is the agency's close ratio? So far this month, I'm 100%. I've had 2 quotes, and I've sold 2 quotes. This is how much premium I've generated, and as you can see here, the commission generated says 0, which means on those 2 policies, I don't have commission rules set up. So this is going to be another area that points out when information in QQCatalyst is incorrect. You will have to use the features in Catalyst to leverage this system so you can get accurate data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from this month, and look, you can go to next month, year to month in, so that'll be from January 1st, 2017 to August 30th, or you can go this year to go all the way into December, last month, last year. And you can also go a year in the future, the current year and a year in the future, as well as 3 years back. So you can even track your performance in the past. In this case, I'm going to say year to month in. So from January to the end of August. I can see what my close ratio is. I've closed 24 of the 34 possible deals that I've had. I can see the base premium I've generated, the total premium I've generated, as well as the commission I've generated. Now, I'd like you to take a look at this next section, performance to goal. You can now set goals for your employees that are responsible for sales. I'm going to hover over my name here and open up my preferences just to show you. You would search for the employee contact, and if you go to the employee info tab, there is now a goals section. Now, I already have a goal here, and let me talk you through how this is going to work. No one in your agency has goals right now, but you're going to, after we get off this webinar, you're going to go and search for your employees, and you're going to add goals. It's monthly goals that you're going to be setting for your employees. So let me walk you through how you would do this. You're going to click on Add a Goal. You're going to select the month that the goal is supposed to start and the year. How many policies you're expecting them to sell every month. How much premium needs to be generated, and how much agency commission needs to be generated. Now, if you only care about the policy count, you can only fill that one in and then just click Save. If you care for all 3, you put in your values and then click Save. They do have to be numeric values. Once you click Save, you're going to see the goal here in this section. Now, let's just say this is the goal from now until December, but things are going to change in January. I'm going to add another goal, and I'm going to say starting January 2018, the new goal is going to be 20 policies. I'm going to make this $200,000 in premium, and it's going to be $20,000 in commission. So you never want to delete a goal that you had in the past. Leave the goals there so you can track historic performance. Okay? I've seen agents, that have in the past using third-party systems go and update existing goals, and I highly recommend you don't update them. Always add a new goal to start tracking the new performance. So right now my goal, 10 policies, $100,000 in premium, $10,000 in commission. Starting January, the agency expects more from me, 20 policies, $200,000 in premium, and $20,000 in commission. Now, the sum of all these goals will equal the agency's goal. So in the case that you wanted, let's just say, to do $100,000 of premium every single month, and you had 4 employees. On each of those employees, you would put in that the premium goal is $25,000, and then that would equal the sum of the agency's goal for the month of bringing in $100,000 of premium. If there's no information here, you're not going to see the information populate here, performance to goal. So what you're going to see is the amount that you've accomplished so far of the amount that you're supposed to accomplish at the end. In this case, I'm already 240% to goal for the agency. I've written 24 policies, and I was supposed to write 10. I was supposed to get $100,000 in premium. I've done $154,000. and I was supposed to get $10,000 in commission, and I've done $23,219. So as you reach your goal, this chart color is going to become green. Now, if you're really, really bad, if you're not doing really well so far for the year, you're going to be down here somewhere in the red. And then as you get closer and closer, the color is going to change from red to orange to yellow, and then to green when you meet your goal. Underneath that section is the trend section. Now, we wanted to add this in because our agents asked us, hey, am I heavy towards the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, or the end? Because with different producers, things are different, right? You may have that salesperson that does a really heavy push towards the end of the month. They do a really big push. They get their deals closed because they want a big commission check. And so what you're going to see is barely any deals between the 1st and the 15th, and then you're going to see this huge spike between the 15th and the 30th. So you're going to be able to see when is it that my producers are closing these deals. Are they closing them towards the beginning of the month, the end of the month, or the middle? And then you can help to make some adjustments to see if you can get the performance to be a little more consistent. Same thing with the premium. Is the majority of my premium being generated when I'm selling the most deals? Or am I getting one deal here in the beginning of the month, and that one deal has the majority of my premium? So in this case, I have this one deal. It's already $45,100 worth of premium, and then I have 3 deals here, but those 3 deals only account for $4,090. So you can actually see the relationship between the deals that I sell versus the amount of premium that I'm able to generate. Same goes for the commission. In this case, I have this huge deal in the beginning, one deal that gets me $45,000 in premium and $6,000 of commission. And then you can see in some cases where I have 3 deals, but those 3 deals only result in $280 of commission. Now, this trend section will change based on how much time you select here. So in this case, because I have multiple months that spans over 30 days, I'm looking at this in terms of weeks. But if I did this for a month, I'd be seeing it in terms of days. And that's the sales room section of the sales room. So this is the home page. Then you can switch over to your pipeline. Now, you're going to still see the metrics here at the top, but we're going to provide you some insights about your pipeline. 82% of the opportunities I have in my pipeline are for existing customers. So I'm doing really good in cross-selling, really good in my cross-selling efforts. However, only 18% of my opportunities are for new customers. So 18% are for my prospects. Now, when you look at the line of business table, it looks like I have a huge amount of personal auto opportunities. They account for 47% of my new opportunities, personal auto. Then I have homeowners at 10, next commercial inland marine, and then agriculture liability. Now, when you hover over the other, we're going to tell you what the other opportunities are that account for the 32%. As you can see, I have accident, commercial auto, and commercial package. Give you some insight. There are agencies that make a goal, look, I'm a heavy personal line shop and I'd like to write more commercial. You'll know if you're trying to write more commercial by checking to see if your opportunities are falling into commercial lines. Same thing goes for the business type. Looks like the majority of my opportunities are new business. I do have 9% of renewals that I am trying to close on, as well as 3% rewrite. But the majority of what I'm trying to close are new business deals, which is great for the agency. And then the policy source. Now, hopefully you've been making use of the policy source field on your policies in Catalyst. If you have, you can see where the sources of your business are coming from. 82% of my policies in the system don't have a policy source, which is really bad. This does not help the marketing dollars for the agency to see whether or not we should invest more money in that marketing or if we should pull the plug. But it looks like I have a tie here between Facebook and other, which would be a lead generating service that I'm using. So again, the more detailed information you put in Catalyst, the more you're going to be able to get out in things like these visual reports. And then comes the pipeline section. Now, for those of you who have been paying very close attention, you would have noticed in QQCatalyst we made an update to the policy section, the pending policy section in QQCatalyst. We've updated that section to no longer be called pending policies, even though they are. They're policies that don't exist yet, but we now label those opportunities. So you know that the information that's in this section is what's populating your sales pipeline. These are the policies that you're hoping to secure that you have not secured as of yet. If it exists here, it's going to exist in your pipeline. Now, the relationship between what's in the pipeline and what's on the opportunity section is going to be based on what the quote on the pending policy says. You have 5 stages well, 6 stages technically that we have for these opportunities. Now, when we spoke to our agents, some people had 25 steps in their sales cycle. Some people had 2, some people had 10. Pretty much every single step in the sales process falls within one of these categories. And so we tried to put them together in 6 categories that would help you better manage your leads, okay? The first one is new opportunity. That tells me I have the chance to sell something, but I haven't taken action on it as of yet. Then data gathering. I'm getting information from the customer. I'm getting information from a website. I'm trying to get the square footage of the location. I'm trying to find out if it's in a flood zone. If you're working the deal, then it's going to be in data gathering. You're getting information. The next is going to be quote requested. You've submitted an application for a quote, especially for my commercial people. If you sent an application to an MGA or a broker for the quote, it would be in quote requested. Once you've received the quote from someone, whether you got it from the rater or whether you got it from the application that you submitted for the quote, the underwriter sends you back the quote, then it would be in the quoted category. If you've spoken to the customer concerning the quote, you've presented it to them either over the phone or via email, you sent them a proposal, it would go into the proposed category, and then it's a matter of you either selling that policy or that policy being lost. Until you put it under sold or lost, it's just going to stay here in your pipeline until the date filter is reached or until you move it into sold or lost. So now the question is, how is the interactions within Catalyst going to affect this sales room page? Let me show you exactly how it's going to work. So here I have an opportunity to write a bid bond policy. I'm going to click on the green arrow here. I have no quotes on this opportunity. I'm going to click to access this bid bond. And I'm going to go to the Quotes tab just to show you how the interactions are going to work. Here's the Quotes tab. This is found on every policy, and the changes that you can make to it are found on pending policies. I'm going to click to add a quote. When you make the quote status waiting on customer, it's going to go into the data gathering column of the pipeline. When you switch this over to application submitted for quote, it's going to go into quote requested. When you switch this over to quoted, based on what the substatus says, that'll determine which category it's in. If it's quoted and you don't add a substatus, it's going to stay in the quoted category. But if you switch this over to proposed, then it's going to go over to the proposed category. If it says decline customer, it's still going to say that it's in the quoted category, and you need to tell us whether is the opportunity completely lost because the customer declined this quote, or do you have other quotes you're going to be getting for them? That's why it's going to stay quoted until you tell us that it's lost. When you mark this off as sold, Catalyst itself is going to wait for you to issue the policy for us to move it from quoted over to sold. So we wanted to make sure we incorporated this pipeline into your existing workflows. When you issue the policy in Catalyst, it's going to automatically mark it off as sold and move it over to the sold category. If the customer declined, let's just say this was a declined customer, you saved the quote, and you came over to the policy action, and you want to tell us you're not going to go after this opportunity anymore. This is a lost opportunity. They said, don't call me about it anymore. You're going to void that policy. We're going to move it over to the lost column. Now, something else that we've also added into Catalyst is the preferred quote flag. Now, I want you to see on the pipeline here, there's a field that allows you to put in a premium. Now, you can have multiple quotes, so which one is going to show up here? It's going to be whichever one is marked off as preferred. So if you got 5 quotes, but the one that you want to go with is the lowest quote, you're going to come into Catalyst, mark that off as the preferred quote, and we're going to save it as the preferred, and that's the one that's going to show up in your pipeline. Now, we wanted to make it easy for you to interact with the pipeline, so you wouldn't necessarily have to go into Catalyst to put in a new opportunity. So now directly on the sales room screen, you can click to add a new opportunity. Let's go ahead and add one now. First, let me go ahead and change my filter. Let's make this August. Let's make it this month. All right, so this is my pipeline so far for this month. I'm going to add a new opportunity. Now, you have the option of adding a new opportunity to an existing contact, or you can create a new contact. So in this case, the default is new contact, but you can switch it over to existing contact. If it's a new contact, let us know if it's a new opportunity for a customer or if it's for a prospect. Now remember, you can have a prospect in the system that's already an existing contact. So make sure you do your check to see, does this contact already exist? Okay? So we have the new contact, customer or prospect. In this case, I'm going to add it to an existing contact. I'm going to look for Family Fresh Supermarket. Then click Next. What line of business are you hoping to write for that customer? Let's just say I'm trying to write a commercial fire policy. The proposed effective date, let's make that August 4th, and what the estimated premium is. Now, we added this field in because a lot of our users said, I can typically think about what it is this premium is going to be. It doesn't have to be exact, but if you have a two-vehicle married couple that's going to get personal auto, it's probably going to be around $900 to $1,000 every 6 months. You can put in what you believe the estimated premium is going to be. So in this case, I'm going to say it's typically $1,500. Now, very important to note, once you add a quote, the system will automatically replace what you put in there as the estimate with the actual quote. So you don't have to worry about having to go and manually updating it. It'll automatically update. All right, so there's my new opportunity just created for Family Fresh Supermarket. It's commercial fire. Now, I'm going to start gathering information. Let's just say I got off the phone with the customer. I got a bunch of information. All you're going to do is click and drag and drop into the next column that you want it to be in. Now, here's a question I get off. Well, Dickinson, do I have to go from column to column? Absolutely not. You can go directly from the new opportunity all the way over to the sold without having to go into each individual column. In this case, I'm going to say I'm waiting on the customer for some additional information. Click Save. So now anybody coming into the pipeline can see, well, what's going on here? He's waiting on the customer. Now let's just say I went on to a rater and got the information quoted, and I didn't have to request the quote. I got it quoted immediately. Drag it over to the quoted column, and now we're going to prompt you for you to tell us who quoted it. You will not be able to put a card or an opportunity in a column where we don't have the information that validates it being in that column. I'm going to click to edit this and say, well, I'm no longer waiting on the customer. I actually got a quote. That quote was received from, I'm going to say, Travelers Casualty Company. If there's an MGA, you'll tell us who the MGA is. In this case, I'm going to say that the premium that was actually quoted was $1,700. You can add your carrier fees and taxes, and then click Save. Now notice, I forgot to check off the preferred quote, but because it's the only quote that I have, it automatically makes it the preferred quote. You're going to know that by seeing the star there. And now that opportunity is in the quoted status. Now when I go over to this pending policy in Catalyst, it's also going to show the quote that I just added. So you're not adding information in the pipeline that's not in Catalyst, or in Catalyst that's not in the pipeline. This feature is fully integrated. So then let's just say you go ahead and create a proposal. You propose it to the customer. I'm going to move it over to propose. And what you're going to do is you're going to edit this quote, because we don't know when you have multiple quotes which one is the one you propose. So I'm just going to switch this over and say this one was proposed. Okay. Now it's in the proposed column. And then if I sell the policy, I'm going to go ahead and drag this over and say that it's sold. I'm going to select which quote was sold, click OK, and it's going to take me to the issue policy workflow in Catalyst. Now, if I don't put in the information necessary for the opportunity to be in the correct column, it's going to always move back to where it originally was. Another thing for you to note is as you move cards into new columns, you're going to see how much premium you have or potential premium you have in every single category. And here I have 3,000, here I have 1,700, and as you move them from column to column, this value is going to change. So at the very top, you're going to see how many opportunities you have in each column, as well as how much premium possibly is in each column. And if you look right next to the pipeline here, you'll see the total amount you have in your pipeline. All right, so now you guys know how to add a new opportunity. For those of you who are really big on pulling information out of the management system and using Excel to do very complicated things like pivot tables, you can click here on this icon, and we're going to give you a table view of your opportunities. You can copy it, you can put it into a CSV or Excel, and then you can do whatever you want with the data outside of QQCatalyst. So for those of you who want to work with it using a table, you can also work using a table. Clicking on the contact will navigate you over to the contact. Clicking on the policy will take you to the pinning policy in Catalyst, and clicking on the owner will take you to the employee in Catalyst as well. The last page on this section, or the last screen on this section, is going to be the compare. Every single employee that has opportunities, that has sold opportunities, had the opportunity to quote, they're going to be showing up in this section here. So I'm going to switch this over and say, show me year to month end. And you're going to see who's leading every single category. I am blazing the trail right now for the sales team. Look at that. Super performer. Like I deserve a vacation or something. Look at that. All this premium generated, commission generated, the amount of quotes, the amount sold, close ratio, and average deal size. Now, for those of you who are wondering, Dickinson, how is it possible that you have 0 quotes here and you have 17 sold? All the data that was put into Catalyst prior to this release, there are policies that come through your carrier downloads that populate policies that may not have a quote. Also, if you've issued a policy, Catalyst automatically creates a quote and marks it off as quoted and sold. However, if you go to delete that policy, we're still going to know that the policy was sold. It's just not going to have a quote on it. And so in my database, I have a bunch of policies that have been issued, but the quotes have been deleted. Okay? So again, this is a lot about the information that you're putting into the management system. It's going to be reflected when you see it come out. So for information today going back, you're going to have some bad information. You're going to see some information like this. But this moment going forward, we did update downloads to make sure that whenever downloads issues a policy, it's going to automatically create a quote that marks it off as quoted and sold. And that is the sales room feature in QQCatalyst. Let me point out a couple of things here directly on the policy for you to know. On the pinning policy, again, here's the preferred quote that I was saving. I'm going to click cancel here. Take you over to the policy info tab just to show you where that estimated premium field is showing. As you update the preferred quote, this will automatically be updating for you. So you don't have to update your quotes and then come here and update the estimated premium. Whatever says the preferred quote, you make an update to that, we'll automatically update this estimated premium field for you for it to show up correctly in your pipeline. Now, concerning where the owner is, by default, this owner field will say who the agent is on the policy. So whoever the agent is on the policy, that's who's automatically the owner. You can choose any active employee who's actually going to be the owner for this opportunity. Now, there's no relationship between the person who's the owner and the person who's the producer. Okay? So the person being paid commission, they still have to be listed in the producer field. This is just a way for you to know who's actually working on this deal. So for those of you who are sales reps in the office, you want to make sure your name is still listed here in the producer field if you're getting paid commission. But we couldn't use a field where multiple people could be listed, and there are a lot of agencies where the agency owner is listed in the agent field all the time, and the person servicing the account is listed in the CSR field, and you can have multiple producers, so we had to add a new field so that one person owns every single opportunity. Now, with the sales pipeline, we've also added a couple of reports. So if you go over to the report section here, let me go ahead and type this in. You now have a quote activity report in QQCatalyst. So I'm going to go ahead and run this report. By the way, this report is available to everybody. I'm going to, let's say from July 1st of 2017 till now. You can look for specific business type or build contact. So this would be whoever it is. Let's just say you have a group of carriers. Progressive has over 40 carriers that belong to this group. You don't have to type in every single writing carrier. You can just choose Progressive Group in your build contact. Or if you're looking for a specific carrier to see what your quoting activity has been with them, you can do that. You can narrow it down by quote status, substatus, or policy status. By the way, if you want everything, don't put anything in these fields. This is all optional. If you put information in, it's going to filter down or narrow down your results. But if you want everything, just leave it as everything and then click run. Let's see what my quote activity has been. All right, so for every single owner I'm going to see here, here's the owner, here's the contact that we're creating, that we have an opportunity for, what the submission date is, the effective date of the policy, the business type, the billed contact, what the quote status is, what the substatus is, the premium, and the policy status. So you'll know whether it's active, whether it's pending, whether it's been quoted or sold. You'll be able to see that information for each one of your employees. Another report that we've added in for you is an outstanding opportunity report. The outstanding opportunity report gives you the information that you have in your pipeline, but in a report view. So in this case, I'm going to look for, let's just say I want to clean up the data that's in Catalyst. So give me from January 2017 until now. Let's see what my outstanding opportunities are. So this is for every single pending policy in Catalyst that's not marked off as sold and that is not voted as of yet. And you can see for every single owner of those policies, what status the quote is in and what the substatus is, and possibly if they have a premium, whichever one is marked off, you'll see which carrier quoted it and what the quoted premium was. And then you can work through this list and go and void the opportunities that are no longer outstanding, that you don't have the opportunity to write them anymore, and you can work through and correct all of the data that's currently in QQCatalyst. So you have your quote activity report and now your opportunities, your outstanding opportunities report. Again, this feature is live today for every single one of you that currently has the Plan 4 QMAX professional plans, or if you have the agency intelligence module added to your plan. Now, here's something else to note. We added this to the agency intelligence module because this is going to work hand in hand with AI. For those of you who are using your smart flows, if you add a new opportunity, you've quoted it, and that quote has not been sold, it's going to automatically put that person in the quote follow-up smart flow. If you go from quoted to sold, it's going to automatically put that person in to the new customer, welcome new customer smart flow. That automated email campaign, that's going to send them an email, tell them thank you for their business. If you have an X date, that X date has not yet been sold, it's going to automatically work through the agency intelligence smart flows as well. So you see, we wanted to make sure you got the full experience of the automation. We didn't want to give you one feature without the other one. They're all inclusive in that $199 a month price for the agency intelligence module. The sales pipeline is automatically included in it. There is no additional cost. So if you have AI, you already have the sales room, as well as anybody on Plan 4, QMAX, and the professional plan. All right, let's go ahead and open the floor up for questions for the amount of time that we have remaining here. Brittany, do we have any questions?
We have plenty of questions. Let's see. Is this premium new, renewal, and rewrite? Any way to filter just new business?
No, at this time, what you're looking at is all outstanding opportunities. There's no way to filter for new business, renewal, or rewrite.
So if we do not have, I believe it's AI, this does not apply to us?
Correct. You have to have the agency intelligence feature enabled on your plan for you to have the sales room.
How are the opportunities accounted for? Is it tracked by each policy line or number of quotes? For instance, can I have 10 quotes for an auto line? I would only sell, or for instance, I can have 10 quotes for an auto line. I would only sell one of those quotes.
Correct. No, you can have 10 quotes, matter of fact. You can have one opportunity to sell personal auto, have 10 quotes, and then when you issue the policy, you'll tell us which one of those was actually sold. So when you're looking at it here on this screen, you're only going to see one number. It's whatever your preferred quote is. But when you click on the magnifying glass, you'll see whatever number of quotes that you received. You'll see all 10 quotes here on this screen, and when you issue the policy in Catalyst, you'll tell us which one was actually sold. So an opportunity represents the line of business. And then when you click on the magnifying glass, you'll actually see how many quotes you received for this opportunity.
Thank you. Is there a web form inside QQ that we can send that will auto-populate as a prospect into QQ?
It all depends on where the person's asking for. If they're asking for a plugin to a website, no, not at this time. But don't forget that if you're bridging from any one of those raters, whether it's SimCat or PL Rating or QQ Web Rater, it'll automatically, when you bridge the information from the rater into Catalyst, it'll automatically populate this for you. But in terms of a web form, not at this time.
Is this just new business or all premium? How do you isolate just new business?
At this time, there's not an isolation of new business, not in the sales room. Now, in the reports that I just showed you, outstanding opportunities, you can actually say, show me only the ones that are new business. But in terms of the pipeline right now, you're not isolating new business from renewal from rewrite. It's just showing you all of the opportunities.
Can you do overall agency goals and individual goals?
Well, no. The individual goals sum up to the agency's goals. So when you put the goals on your employees, that becomes the agency goal.
If I have a goal for the month of August and the next goal for the employee is in January, like the example you showed, does that mean the goal I set for August is really a goal from August out to the end of December? Or does it mean August has a goal, but when we get to September and October, there are no goals until we get into January? When will the next goal begin?
Great question. The goal that I set, and I said it's effective August, it will remain the goal every single month until something else is added. So the goal I added effective August 2017 is every month goal going forward until I hit January. And then January will pick up, and then every month thereafter is going to be the new goal from January. Great question.
It looks like renewals are under premium generated. Is this because I have not yet set employee goals?
Let me go into this. Are we talking about in here? I'm guessing she's talking about in here. The premium generated is for all opportunities that are sold. All opportunities that are sold will go in the premium generated, whether it's new business, renewal, or rewrite. Now, if you don't see a number and then the word of and another number, that means that you don't have any goals yet set on any employee. So once you put a goal on an employee and you save it, come back to this page and refresh, and you're going to see this value of value format.
Is there going to be a PDF best practices guide? I would like a PDF to show producers how to use this from start to finish, from inputting the prospect to inputting the opportunities. This is huge and very exciting, and I just want to make sure that we implement it correctly.
Sure, absolutely. What we're going to do is we're not going to put it in a PDF per se. We are releasing a brand new update to our help section, and the help section is going to have step-by-step instructions on adding a new opportunity from the sales room, as well as how to use all of the metrics and move from section to section. So please, for those of you, it's so funny. Yesterday I was at the LAAIA conference, and people were telling me, hey, Dickinson, when's the next webinar? And I was telling them, hey, the next webinar is on tomorrow. It's going to be on Thursday at 12 o'clock. And I said, did you see the pop-up that came in when you logged in? Oh, yeah, I just X'd immediately out of that. Make sure you guys take just a couple of seconds. When you log into Catalyst, once there's an in-product notice, we don't do it often. Whenever you see an in-product notice, please take a couple of seconds to read it so you know what it is. We're going to be putting in an in-product notice telling you there's a brand new release to the help section. All of the information for every single action you take in Catalyst is going to be in there, not only with step-by-step instructions, but also with visuals, so you guys can complete every single process. So look out for that. We are going to be releasing that information into the help section.
Any way to move those lost opportunities to X date within the customer file?
Not at this time. That's a great question. So this is our version 1 release of the sales room. And what we wanted to make sure we heard from all of our customers, because we worked with a group of agents to get this done, we wanted to hear from you through your experience what exactly you wanted to happen. So this is version 1 of the sales room. There will be more versions to be released. And that's one of the things that we have on the list. With one of our beta customers, they wanted to, hey, once I mark something off as lost, I'd also like the option of making it an next date automatically. So it's on the list, but be sure to add that into the feedback that you're going to be sharing with us in the ideas portals of Vertafore University, or my Vertafore, I believe it is.
How will these pipeline status changes affect the smart flow for quote proposals?
Great question. So the ones that are going to be affecting your smart flows right now, if you go over to quoted, based on the amount of time, I believe it's defaulted to 7 days. If something's marked off as quoted and it hasn't been sold as of yet, based on the configuration of your smart flow, the customer will automatically get an email saying, hey, we're just following up on this quote that we had given you. And also, if you have tasks created for your producer, it'll automatically create a task for that person as well. The other one that's immediately impacting this sales room is when you mark something off as sold, it automatically enters the person into the Welcome New Customer campaign. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the relationship stays consistent with what you do in the sales room and how it works with your smart flows. So all of the updates that we're going to be coming out with agency intelligence will keep all of this in mind to make sure that as you move from step to step, it triggers something automatically in agency intelligence.
Does this work for both prospects and active customers?
Yes, it does. You can add an opportunity to an existing customer, an existing prospect, or a new customer or new prospect.
If I manually mark a quote as preferred and then a quote with a lower premium is entered, will that automatically become the preferred quote?
No, it will remain, the one that you marked off as preferred will remain preferred until you say otherwise. So the only one that's going to be marked off by default as preferred is the first one you enter. The first quote you enter will be a quote, but it'll automatically be marked off as the preferred one. But every single quote after that, if you want it to be preferred, you'll check off that checkbox that marks off as preferred.
What is the difference between an opportunity and a quote?
Great question. The opportunity is the policy. The quote is the offer to insure from the insurance company. So your opportunity is going to be, let's just say I have a person who's insured commercially. I have their general liability policy. But that person also owns equipment. My opportunity is to sell them commercial property or an inland marine policy, or I can sell them an umbrella policy, right? Those are opportunities. The quotes are when I go to Travelers and I say, hey, I want to insure this guy, they're going to give me a rate for insuring that commercial property or that commercial inland marine. That's my quote. So consider the opportunity is the policy, and the quote is the rate I receive from the carrier to insure that policy.
Thank you. Any way to change those columns from premium to revenue?
No. One of the things that we had to try to keep consistent is the information you're seeing in Catalyst and the information that you're seeing in the sales room. So we didn't want you to go into Catalyst, look at a policy, see a column that says premium, and then you come into the sales room and see something that says revenue. So in this case, it's always going to be information that's reflected in the management system. So it's always going to say premium.
What happens if and when we move the client from proposed to sold? Do we then issue the policy? Wouldn't this cause a conflict with policy downloads?
No, it won't. It won't cause a conflict with policy downloads because hopefully when you issue the policy, when you bind the policy on the carrier's website, let's say, wherever you're doing the binding, if you do it on the carrier's website, one of the things that I try to make sure I tell all of the agents to do is if you don't put any information in Catalyst correctly, there are a couple of things that you want to make sure are absolutely correct so that downloads does not create duplicates and make a mess of your information. The effective date, the carrier, and by carrier I mean make sure the NAIC code of the carrier that's on that policy is the same as the one that's going to be coming from downloads, and the policy number. The majority of the direct bill carriers, when you write a policy with them on the website, they give you all of that information. The only thing that may be a little confusing is if the carrier uses -00s or -01s. In that case, you can put in the policy number before the dash, and the system will recognize it when the download comes in. But if you don't know anything else about that policy, so long as you have those three things, you'll be okay. The correct effective date, the correct policy number, the correct writing carrier. And it won't cause a problem with downloads.
Can all agents see each other's commissions?
So that's a great question. The information that you're seeing here for commission is the commission generated for the agency, not the producers themselves. So this isn't the producer's commission, this is the agency's commission. We made sure to keep it consistent with Catalyst. If a person does not have the permission to view the agency's commission, when they come here in this pipeline, they're not going to see it either. They're going to see asterisk here. Now, for the salespeople, they will absolutely be able to see how much premium they've generated, because we wanted to make sure there was competition, and that's what we heard from our beta agencies as well. They wanted everybody to see each other's premium being generated and how well they're doing, to see who the top performers are. But in terms of the commission generated, if the person individually can't view agency commission in Catalyst on a policy, they won't be able to view commissions here.
How can we
By the way,
connect?
another one of the questions I got,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Brittany. One of the other questions I got when I demoed this to a couple of agents, they were wondering where this image comes from, because some of these were blank. It's on the employee contact. For those of you who don't have it on there, on every contact you have this avatar that you can set. So long as you upload an image to their file, so wherever you have a picture of that agent, upload it to their file, and wherever that picture is, you're going to be able to left-click on that picture and set as avatar. So mine says remove avatar because mine's already on there, but you can click set as avatar, and that'll show up not only in Catalyst here, but it'll also show up here in the sales room.
How can we connect or add the lead resources to agency account?
How do you connect lead resources? I'm thinking that might be a question about how do I add the policy source to a policy. I'm hoping that's what the question was. Let me take a look and show you. So for those of you that are using lead sources, I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Let me go over to location preferences while I do that. In the location preferences, and of course you have to have permission to get to this area, in the policy tab, you're going to have at the bottom policy sources. Wherever you get leads from, it should be in this list. Now, I think we pre-populated with some things in here. If you don't use those, please remove them, delete them all. The ones that you are actually going to use, whether it's a referral or a lead service, a dealership, whoever it is that sends you business, make sure you add them into this section. Then on the policy itself, let's go to one of these pending policies. You're going to have a policy source drop-down. Whatever is in that location preferences section, that's going to populate this list here. And that's how you're going to have the insights show you in the sales room where your business is coming from. It's taking it from this field. So I'm just going to say this was from internet leads. Now, if you want to put more details about internet leads, you can go ahead and type that in. But if you want to make sure it shows up in the pipeline, you probably want to put in the actual name of the company here. Like if you got it from a company called Hot Leads, make sure you put Hot Leads on there. Any more questions, Brittany?
Yes, sorry. When a policy is renewed, does the owner of the policy stay the same if I had selected a specific individual, or will it default back to agent on policy?
It will stay the same. Great question.
Why doesn't the report show the producer?
Okay, so remember, those two reports are reflecting what's actually in the sales room. It's not showing the producer. If you're looking for production reports for the producer, you're going to have to run a production report for the producer themselves, or quoted. I believe that we have a quoted but not proposed report, and those show the producers. But this one is whoever the owner of the policy is, and I do recommend, in the case that you're an agency where only one producer is ever on a policy, like there's no split commissions or producers, just make sure the producer puts themselves also in the owner field. So they'll be the owner and they'll be listed as producer.
What is the difference between agent and producer?
Great question. If you come in from a small agency, like I've worked at small agencies before, where we were one person wearing many hats. The person that got the lead, that did the quote, that wrote the policy, that services the policy, was all one person. So there was no, you're the agent, you're the CSR. Sometimes people say it based on the license that you have, whether you have a general lines license or a CSR license. But in a lot of small agencies, one person wears all the hats. However, I've also worked at large agencies where the person who actually writes the business has nothing to do with servicing the account. So you have the producer who brings in the policy, then you have the agent who's responsible for talking about coverages, talking about renewals and premiums, and additional business to be sold. That person is designated as the agent who services the account. Then you have the CSR who does all of the paperwork, puts stuff in the mail, checks policies for accuracy, submits requests for loss runs. It's all depending on how your agency works. If you're in a smaller agency, there's only the same one person is in each one of those fields. But for the agencies that are larger, that has one person designated for every single role, then they put a different person in agent, CSR, and producer. The only reason we introduced the owner field is because there are some agencies that are so large that the agent is the person who owns the agency on every policy. The CSR is the person who works with pushing the paper. The producer gets paid the commission, but then the person who's the owner, we couldn't have it be multiple people being the owner. Only one person can own every single opportunity, so that the numbers that you're looking at on the screen are accurate.
The close date, the day of the policy is sold, is going to be different than the effective date, as most policies are sold in advance of the effective date. If I want to see how many policies we sold last Thursday, the report needs to go off the close date, shouldn't it?
Well, yes, I agree with that. We may be putting in a new report into the report section, like a closed deal report, where you actually go based on when you actually issued the policy. But as of right now, with all of the agencies that we spoke to concerning a date filter, they all wanted it to be based on the effective date of the policy. So while it says close date, it's when you're expecting to close the policy, it's the month that the policy is going to be effective. So we may want to, it's possible we may relabel this, just put effective date instead of close date. But practically everything, one of the people that we did the beta with said, the close date, I may be closing it a couple of days in advance, but I want that to be reflective of the effective date of the policy. So I'm going to put that down as one of the things that we may want to do. We may want to add an actual, sold opportunity report where you do it based on the close date, the actual date you bound the policy, not when the policy was effective. These are great questions, by the way.
And we have more great ones. Let's see. The quote activity report is pulling renewals. Shouldn't it be only showing new opportunities like new business?
No. The quote activity report, the request was, when we received this request from the agents that put it through the ideas portal, they wanted to see all quote activities, but they wanted to narrow it down if they wanted to. So when you go to the quote activity report, you have the option of only choosing new business. So let me pull that up. Rather than forcing everybody to only do new business, we give you the option. Okay? So here you have the submission date, but then you also have the business type. So if you only want new business, put new business in there. If you want everything, don't put anything and just run the report, and you'll get new business, renewal, and rewrite.
Is there a way to set a goal for the year rather than the month?
No, the goal for the year will be whatever's set up for that month. So if you set it up for August, we're going to say that's the goal for the year. Whatever the sum is for all the months remaining in the year, it will be the yearly goal. So if you want somebody to have a $12,000 yearly goal in January, put effective January 2018, put $1,000 as the goal, and it'll make it $12,000 for the year.
If multiple quotes are requested, when one of them is sold, is the only option to void the rest of them?
So no, that's a great question. So let's just say you got 5 quotes. All of them were quoted by a carrier. Your customer selected one of them. The other 4, when you issue the policy in Catalyst, are going to say quoted, but the substatus is going to say declined by the customer. Because the carrier quoted it, the customer preferred one quote over the other, so it'll say quoted, and the substatus is going to say declined customer. It won't be voided. The opportunity will be sold. The one that was sold will say quoted and sold. The others will say quoted and declined by the customer. The only time an opportunity will be voided is when you no longer have a chance at that opportunity. The customer says, no, I'm no longer interested in this. I sold my car, so don't call me about personal auto anymore. In that case, you want to avoid that opportunity so everybody knows don't go after this anymore. It's avoided.
If you add a quote into pipeline, will it automatically populate the X date field, or do we still have to do that?
No, it will not populate the X date field. Remember, the X dates are when you're looking to pursue a line of business for someone. The customer says, hey, give me a call sometime in September. I'd like to talk to you about life insurance. You'll create an X date for that. But other than that, there's no relationship between the X date and the policy until you go to issue a policy. Let's just say you forgot to remove the X date or mark the X date off as sold, and then you issue a policy in Catalyst for X date. You can select any X date and say this X date is related to this policy. But in terms of premium, they don't have any relation.
When we have to clean up our outstanding opportunity report, is there an easier way than going into each account and updating quotes?
No, unfortunately, you will have to go to the opportunities themselves. You have to go to each opportunity and change the status. If it's supposed to be voided, you will have to go to each policy and mark them off as voided. Now, one of the things that we can do in a future release is give you the opportunity to do that directly. Actually, no. Let me not say that. My apologies. One way you can do it, and let me do it this way. You want to clear up all of the ones that you had from last year that are no longer really outstanding. They should be voided. When you go into the pipeline, all of the cards for what's still outstanding will be listed here. If they're not really outstanding opportunities and you don't have a chance at writing those policies, you can just drag them over to the loss. And it's going to tell you, we're going to mark this off as voided. This opportunity is going to be voided, and so will all the quotes on it, and then you'll just click OK. So I'm sorry, there is an easier way than going to each policy or searching for it. You can go directly into the sales room and just drag them over to the loss, and it'll void them.
Will you be developing sales room with breakout of new, renewal, requote, etc.?
It sounds like everybody wants that, so that will be something that we're going to be doing. We're going to have to put in a new filter here that gives you the option of selecting new versus renewal versus rewrite.
How long until the rater is built in, and will it feed right into the pipeline?
Yes, so the way we built the sales room, we built it to make sure that every single thing that creates a policy in Catalyst, whether it's through a rater being bridged, an integrated rater, a web form, client portal, anything in the future that's going to feed a quote into Catalyst will automatically work with the sales room. Now, concerning the timeline of the integrated rater, our team is still working diligently on trying to get that done. I can't really give you a timeline. So the team that's working on the integrated rater is not in our office. That's a different team that's working on it. I don't have much visibility into it. I know they're working on it, but I can't tell you honestly when that's going to be done. For the things that are directly with my QQCatalyst team, the people that are working with me directly, I can answer questions concerning most features like this that I promised you guys towards the end of July, early August, but I don't have much visibility into the rating.
It looks like we just hit the end of our webinar, but Dickinson, would you like to continue to take more questions?
Sure, let's take a couple more questions. I know that you have some things to do after the webinar, but let's squeeze in a couple more.
Okay. When we issue the quote in QQ, will it generate a duplicate when we receive the download from the carrier?
It will not, so long as those three things are populated: the correct effective date, the correct carrier, and the correct policy number. Downloads will simply update the policy you already have in there. It will not create a duplicate. Now, if you put in the wrong effective date, policy number, or the wrong carrier, and by that again I mean the NAIC code of the carrier is wrong, then based on your download settings, it will create a duplicate.
What happens to the quote if you make a customer inactive? Does the pipeline get adjusted?
If you make a customer inactive, no. So when you make a customer inactive, it doesn't mean that the opportunity on the customer is inactive. Okay? So what we do is we leave it the way that you put it in there. It's an inactive customer, but you still have an outstanding opportunity on them. So it's something that you probably want to make sure your staff takes a look at. Like, do I have any outstanding opportunities for this customer? And if I'm going to mark them inactive, that's something we could talk about doing in the future. That if the person's going to be marked off as inactive, that we automatically void all of the opportunities. But for now, it will be something that you have to do manually.
What is the timeline? Oh, sorry, I lost my. What is the timeline on the, it was a help center. We had more questions pop up. Oh yeah, on the help center.
The help center is scheduled to be released next week. Next week. I believe it's the 7th. What day does the 7th fall on? Let's see. I believe it's next week. I remember seeing the 7th for whatever reason. I'm hoping that I'm right. If I'm wrong, it's sometime next week. But we're going to do an in-product notice. So when you log into Catalyst, it'll tell you, hey, brand new Help Center available. So you guys can search for any processes that you want to complete in Catalyst.
All right, and we'll take one more. On the quote report, can we select the agency on the policy so we can track new business only per agent? I'm not seeing where you can.
Okay, let me go into the, which report did they say, the quote activity? Was it the quote activity?
On the quote report, can we select the agency on the policy so we can track new business only per agent?
Okay, yeah, well, when I say when you can track whoever's listed as the owner. So if the owner setting on the policy says agent on the policy, yes, you can. Okay? So let me go ahead and put in, hold on one second. Actually, no, I'm sorry. On the outstanding opportunity report, you can. There's an owner field, but it looks like we don't have that here on the quote activity report. What I can do, let me just double check one thing here. I think the owner shows up here, but it's not a filter. We can always add that in as a filter. Let me just double check something. I think it has owner. Yes, it does have the owner, but it's not filtered. So I can add the filter here to this report for you.
Thank you, Dickinson. And that looks like that's all the time we have for the questions today. We do have tons of questions, and we'll get those sent over to Dickinson to see if we can get those answered, and then we'll attach those to the webinar recording once it's been edited. It will be placed into NetView University. That way y'all can all go back and see it. Thank you, Dickinson, for the wonderful presentation, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. Y'all will get an email within about a week with the recording links, and also how to log in to NetView University so you're able to see it. And we'll even be posting it on INCOM, the NetView communities. And I hope everyone has a great day. Dickinson, would you like to say anything before we close?
I'm just really grateful and thankful for all of you who submit your feedback to us, your ideas. I want you to understand how much of QQCatalyst has gotten better because of your direct feedback to us. I'm really passionate about what I do. I understand the challenges that come with being an insurance agent and working in an insurance agency. We're trying to put in as many features as possible within the one solution. so that you don't have to keep trying to keep data in sync by using a third-party platform. We're trying to put as much information and as many features and enhancements into Catalyst as possible to help you grow your business, to give you more visibility into yourselves, and to help you be more efficient. So I'm really thankful for all of you who attended the webinar, and continue sharing your feedback with us. As you can see, the things that you're requesting, we're getting them in there. We're putting a lot of thought and effort into it so that you can actually use something that can be valuable for your agency. So I'm really grateful for all of you. Catalyst keeps getting better and better, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next webinar. Thank you very much for your time today, Brittany.
Thank you, Dickinson. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you next time.